troublemaker. I've been a late night player. I've been broke as a joke. I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool. Enough jumps, the middle finger make my Jaeger just.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz, a Fan-atical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this warm, finally, not even spring-like, more closer to summer-like, May 18th. The weather has maybe, finally, once and for all, broken in the right direction, putting the winter blues behind us, perhaps. Been certainly nice to have the windows all the way down driving around this week. And I will hear no complaints of the heat yet. It's only been a day or so, people. Let's calm down with that. We can enjoy the warm weather for a little bit. I am again flying solo here as we have shuffled the deck on the whole crew situation. So my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Rout Jr., is directing the show for me again. Of course, Bob's show, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. You can check out what he's got going on there. And we have the production assistant extraordinaire, Jenna Faco, in the show, in the control room as well, doing some good work for us as we get this show to you live here, 6:30 to 7. The phone line is open, 203-792-4101. is the number if you want to call. Strange Man, the long lost one, has resurfaced finally this week. He is threatening to call in during the show, so maybe I'll get somebody to talk to at some point. You could call in as well. You got plenty of opportunities with Bob directing things and not out here for me to talk to, so if you want to call, 203-792-4101 is the number. Of course, Bob's store, JM Collectibles, is open 2 weeks and up and running now. Their grand opening isn't until July 14th and 15th, but they are pretty much up and running now Tuesday through Saturday. Sounds like 10 to 8 or are the store hours over there in Stony Hill. They have a Facebook page. You can search them out there and you can see what they have going on. We will mention the Danbury Westerners Breakfast is coming up, so we'll mention that first. June 9th at the Amber Room. Tickets possibly still available for this big event. The guest speaker, Dwight Gooden, the doctor, Dr. K, is in the house, coming to the Amber Room then June 9th, Friday morning. 7:30 a.m. Of course, the season begins later that evening as they have the breakfast that morning, and then everybody heads over to the park later in the day, and the first game of the year is up and running later that night. So the Westerners season is nearly upon us. A couple things to look forward to in the season. Christmas in July. July 22nd, Bob was telling me before the show, they got a big event planned. Perhaps Santa in July, come down and get your picture taken. They're gonna just try something different for the kids, who knows, have a good time. The Jimmy Fund event will be on their only Sunday, scheduled Sunday game. Who knows with the rain, they might have to pick up another Sunday here and there. But their only scheduled Sunday game of the year is July 23rd. So it's a big weekend, obviously, that weekend. So their Jimmy Fund event will be then. And their first responder night is later in July on the 29th. So that's some big Danbury Westerners stuff. I did also want to mention I was in studio last night taping 2 shows with our former Evil director. Maybe I should get him back down here so we can get Bob out here while our man Mike Toohey is off at his new job. But I was in doing 2 shows with Kevin Gallagher. The first one will air tomorrow night, and the next one next week. We were talking about the history of the Indianapolis 500. We had a lot of great information. We had a good time taping those 2 shows. We had a lot of good photos to look through as well as we checked out some history, including some big wrecks as we see a fiery one right there. Incredible stuff. But the Indy 500 is next weekend, the annual Memorial Day weekend event. Did you know that Memorial Day used to be called Decoration Day all the way up until about the 1960s? I did not know that. But the Indy 500 is always paired up with Memorial Day, and that will be next weekend. We're off next week, as a matter of fact, so everybody can enjoy their Memorial Day and check out the race. If you want to know more about the race history, we had a lot of interesting facts, some facts about races, some funny facts, different things. Friday night, Kevin's show, I believe, is on at 8:30 to 9 o'clock on Friday evenings. So next week, or tomorrow night, is show number 1, and next week is show number 2. Of course, you can find him on YouTube. You can find this show on YouTube as well. I often forget to do that. Kevin is a master at the open of his show, telling you where you can find his show online and all that stuff. He's got that down pat. All right, so the phone line's open, 203-792-4101. Other big non-traditional, I guess, more historical events. Let's mention the Preakness is this weekend. I think my sister is going to be down there in Baltimore checking out the race. As always, Dreaming is looking to get the second leg. Had a great clean run in the Kentucky Derby a couple weekends ago as he came away from it, and you knew it was a clean run because all the other horses were filthy, covered in mud as they ran through that wet track, but he was, came away with the pristine jersey on the jockey, and his whole body there was not covered in any mud. Always Dreaming got it. He drew post number 4 in the Preakness this time around. Classic Empire, the horse that was the other favorite in the Kentucky Derby, got post number 5. So in the 10-horse race, they'll be right in the middle down there in Baltimore. Maybe they'll have some better weather, no rain this time. It should be warm, I would imagine. And of course, Always Dreaming, a Brooklyn-owned horse. It will be dreaming of possibly going for the Triple Crown at the Belmont a few weeks from this week. That would be something if the Brooklyn-owned horse had got the New York fans behind him. If he's able to come up with the win here down at the Pimlico, we'll see what he can do. I will mention this. While I was watching the Kentucky Derby, my good friend Melissa, we mentioned her son every now and then, my godson Jesse, who's into BMX. I think we wished him a happy birthday on the show recently. I watched this race with her, the Derby, a couple weeks ago, and she is involved with horses. She works at a barn, and she's been taking care of horses all her life. And in the run-up, the walk-up to the race, Battle of Midway came walking through, and she said, I like that horse. She could see something in the horse's eyes. And that horse was a 40-1 favorite. And if you remember, this horse was right with Always Dreaming and ended up finishing 3rd. So I don't know. I think maybe if we should head out to the Long Island. I got to get to the track with Melissa and see if she can spot another horse and do a little gambling with her. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. Just seeing this horse on TV as they were walking all 20 horses up, she picked this one horse out who nobody was talking about. It was a long shot horse, and the thing was right there in the whole race, finished 3rd. So I am considering taking her to the track and seeing if she can pick me a horse and I can win some money on that. Would be nice. All right, let's get to the NBA. First, we'll mention the draft lottery was last night. Finally, at long last, because the Celtics have not had a good history in the lottery, but they did last night. They get the number 1 overall pick. But really, the draft lottery was completely fixed for the Lakers last night to hold on to their top 3 spot. In fact, had them moving up to number 2. The way this would have worked was if the Lakers, who had a 40% chance of moving out of that 3rd spot, if they had lost that pick and didn't finish in the top 3, they were going to lose their pick to, I believe, would have been the Sixers. It would have been somebody. And or actually maybe to Phoenix. I'm not sure who it would have been. And they would have also lost next year's pick, which could have set them back hugely. But of course, the whole ball sweepstakes with the kid out of UCLA and his dad saying his kid's only going to play for the Lakers, and the NBA wanting to fix it to get the Lakers back on the map. And they did just that. They moved up to number 2. So it's Celtics, Lakers, Sixers in the top 3. The Knicks actually fell from 7 to 8. So nothing happening for the Knicks as they continue to not be any good. The Celtics, I thought, should have been rewarded. They've been doing things right, making great trades. That trade with the Knicks, or with the Nets, where they sent Pierce and Garnett for all these draft picks. Remember, the Celtics are going to have the same situation next year as they have another pick from the Nets who are no good, and they'll probably be a bottom feeder again next year. So the Celtics are going to have another great pick. They've been doing the right thing. The Lakers have not, and they were thusly rewarded anyways. So we know in the past, everybody thinks the lottery was fixed years ago so that the Knicks could get Patrick Ewing. We also, as we're looking at the Celtics Cavs photos, as Bob jumps the gun on that quickly while I'm talking lottery, but as we see the Cavaliers there and LeBron James, everybody thinks that the NBA fixed it for the hometown kid LeBron James to go to Cleveland years ago, and maybe they fixed it again last night to get the Lakers back in the mix with the LA kid, Ball, perhaps going to him at the number 2 spot. We'll see how that plays out. There we see the pictures from last night's Game 1. Celtics back in the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2012. Of course, the Cavaliers with LeBron James were there the last couple of years. 117-104 was the final. The score was misleading. It was not that close. 30-19 after the first quarter. 61-39 at the half. Celtics did rally a little bit in the third, cut it to 15 a couple times, but they couldn't get really any closer to that until it was about garbage time in the last 4 or 5 minutes, where they ultimately cut it below 10. But really, this was not much of a contest. Celtics did not shoot the ball well. There was no rust on the Cavaliers, who were the well-rested team coming off back-to-back sweeps. And of course, we know they took half the season off anyways, so they had plenty of rest coming into the playoffs. And with that Toronto series, Toronto losing their star player, Kyle Lowry, in the second game, there was no way they were going to be able to give them any competition, and the Cavs swept them. And also with the way the schedule goes, they had some built-in extra days for the Celtics Wizards series, which went long, and that gave them the extra time to get some more rest. So there was no rust on the Cavs last night. They were fully rested. The Celtics were coming out of the emotional, physical Game 7 battle, 7-game series with the Wizards, where they prevailed in Game 7, 115-105. That was a tight game throughout. It was 55-53 at the half with the Wizards leading. But the Celtics got a huge effort. There was only one Kelly playing in this game. If you remember early in the season, the dust-up between Kelly Oubre and Kelly Olynyk. But this time around, it was Kelly Olynyk getting the last laugh against the Wizards, who cheap-shotted Olynyk in Game 3, sent him down. Did we see Oubre for the rest of the series? No, we pretty much did not, as he was suspended and then did not get much playing time the rest of the way. And he didn't play much more than 10 seconds in Game 7. But Olynyk with 26 points, a career playoff high, 14 in the fourth quarter as they came up large and in charge and pulled away from the Wizards to get this series. Of course, in Game 6, it was John Wall hitting the three-point shot with 3 seconds left, and they got the 92-91 victory. And they celebrated with confetti coming down in D.C. Confetti for winning a Game 6 in the second round of the NBA playoffs. Wow. Celebrated a little bit too much, perhaps, because John Wall went 0 for 9 in the final 11 minutes of this game. Did not do anything in the fourth quarter as he seemed to run out of gas. He, I guess, was happy enough with his Game 6 three-point shot that forced Game 7, and telling everybody in the stands, not in D.C., Celtics weren't going to get it. Maybe you back that up by hitting at least one shot in the fourth quarter, John Wall. But no, I guess he was good enough to have that. That series was highly contested, but it was the home team who won all the games, not only in the 7 of the playoffs, but in the 4 in the regular season. So the home team between those two teams went 11-0. So now the big question is, can the Celtics rebound after last night's beatdown at the hands of Bron? Of course, Paul and James went for 38 points last night. Kevin Love, 32 and 12. Tristan Thompson had 20 and 9. But this is the thing I got to check out. How about this today? Quotes coming from J.R. Smith. I expect the Celtics to pull some dirty moves and cheap shots in Game 2 because they'll be desperate to get a win. The last time these two teams faced each other in the playoffs was 2 years ago. And what did J.R. Smith do in that playoff series? Sucker punched Jay Crowder, knocking him out so badly that he actually sprained his MCL and had to have surgery after the season because he fell so awkwardly after the sucker punch from the dirty cheap shot artist J.R. Smith. And he's got the nerve. Is the phone ringing? Should I pick this up? Is this Strange Man? Hello? Is this Strange Man? You are on the air. If it is, whoever it is calling. Hello, you're on the air.
Yeah, this is Strange Man Scotty. How you doing?
I'm doing not so bad, Strange Man. Nice to hear from you. How's things? Are you on a ledge? I heard you moved off of the second floor to a sixth floor, which makes jumping on the ledge over the Bruins woes a little dangerous. So we hope you're not on the ledge, Strange Man.
Yeah, the ledge is up here very small, so if I get on the ledge, I got to be very careful.
All right. Well, what's on your mind? What do you got?
So anyway, hopefully the heat isn't too bad on you. And
nice and comfortable in the studio.
I just want to make 3 points.
Okay.
What do you think about the Boston Bruins next year in the draft? Do you think there'll be a lot of changes? Because, Chara really has lost a lot of speed on defense.
He did lead the team in minutes played in that postseason run, and I think in the whole season as well for a defensive player. So he still was playing. He's clearly is not the same player that he once was, and he is now 40 years old. I think he turned 40 late in the season. So they will need to eventually move on from Chara. The one good thing that happened at the end of the season, late in the year, they had those injuries in the last week, which really hampered their chances against Ottawa, but we did get to see some very young players come in and contribute in the postseason. So they did have some guys showing life. So I think we'll see more of that. They did retain the coach. What did you think of Campbell's job and what he did? He went 18-8 in the regular season once he took over. Of course, losing to Ottawa and losing all 3 games at home wasn't good. But did you like what you saw from the coach and when he took over?
Well, I liked it, what he did. Like you were talking with the Boston Bruins coach going to Montreal.
Right.
I really did like what the new coach did, to get him into the playoffs. But they could not overcome Ottawa. They have a couple players up there in age. Chara's been there for a long time. He's still the enforcer, but he's definitely slowed down a bit.
Right, and Bergeron's an older player, so I'm not sure how many more years he can get it done. He didn't seem to contribute offensively. I think he was banged up most of the year, undisclosed injury kind of situation. So, they're probably going to have to go out and make some moves in the offseason, try to get a little more help. Marchand is a great player. But he could use a little more help. I mean, offensively, they really had a good run once Campbell took over, and they were kind of playing very well right before they lost Torrey Krug, right before the end of the season, and a couple other key guys. Remember, they had 4 and 5 defensive players out in the postseason at times, so that really hurt them. And I don't think you really got to be able to see what they could have done against Ottawa. And the other thing is Ottawa is just playing very well. Bob knows all too well that Ottawa took care of business against the Rangers. Now we see them up 2-1 against Pittsburgh in this Eastern Conference Finals, and they could possibly make a run here and get to the Stanley Cup Finals. So they did go up against a pretty hot team. What's your other questions, Strange Man?
Two. Can we touch on the Celtics and against your best friend in the whole wide world?
My favorite guy. I mean, watching the game last night, it's just unbelievable. Anytime he actually gets called for a foul, I mean, a guy who's as physical as him and commits an offensive...
Go ahead.
And a guy who commits offensive fouls every time down the court, defensive fouls every time. He only gets called for 2 fouls a game on average. It's unbelievable. And when they do call a foul on him, they say, he's just unreal with the fact that he can't believe they called a foul. And, so I don't know. The Celtics will be hard pressed. Right now, everything's gravy. They got the number 1 pick. I wanted to make sure they got through to the Eastern Conference Finals. They did that. Great series against the Wizards. If they can get 1 or 2 games, I do not want to see them get swept. I want to see them at least get 1 win, hopefully 2. I really like to see them bounce back and play a much better game in game 2 tomorrow night. And then we'll see what happens. Maybe they steal a game on the road, or maybe they get a game 5 back at home to force a game 6. But I'm not sure. What do you think about that, Strange Man?
I don't know. James is such a force. He scored 38 points in the first game. The next game is in Boston.
Right.
Can they overcome, James in the outside shooting? I don't really know, Scotty. But they'll give it all they have. I do know that. And can I just get the Derek Jeter joke that's going around Boston out there?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. This is a joke that's going around Boston. No matter what Derek Jeter does in life, he will always be number 2. All right, Scotty, I'll let you go, okay?
Strange Man, over and out. Thank you, Strange Man. We'll talk to you later. All right, Strange Man calling in. He's got jokes. He's got questions. He's wondering what's going on with the Boston sports team. All right, let's get to the quickly. We'll mention the Warriors are up 2-0 on the Spurs. The Spurs were up 23 points in game 1, and then Kawhi Leonard went down with that recurring ankle injury, the one he suffered against the Rockets, and the Warriors promptly went on an 18-0 run and ended up winning game 1, 113-111, and then they blew out the Spurs in game 2, 136-100 with Leonard remaining out. Hopefully he'll be back for game 3 on Saturday as they get 3 games off. So that means they outscored the Spurs by 59 points over the course of the 3rd and 4th quarter and then all of the next game since Leonard went down. Unbelievable. And the Spurs, remember, up 23, were coming off the Game 6 beating without Leonard in that lineup against the possible MVP Harden and Houston. They beat them 114-75. So they were really actually rolling. Huge lead differential, and then they completely collapsed. Crazy. I mentioned Pittsburgh down 2-1 against Ottawa. They lost the first game at home 2-1 in overtime. They came back and won the second game 1-0, and then last night they lost 5-1. Ottawa won at home. Pittsburgh's missing 4 players, and Crosby, we know, got concussed in that last round against Washington, so maybe he's not right. I think Ottawa, I said it before the series started, they were my pick in this series to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. I like what I see, and I like also what I see for my other pick, the Predators, who are up 2-1 on the Ducks. The 8th seed, the Predators, winning 3-2 in overtime on the road in game 1. 5-3 loss in the second game, but then they came back home and got a big win, 2-1. In that game, they were down 1-0 with about 6 minutes left. They had 2 goals scored in a very short period of time. Both were disallowed, but they were unabashed and unfazed by that, and they still rallied to get 2 more goals in the final 3 minutes to win it, 2-1. Predators up 2-1 on the Ducks. Ottawa up 2-1 on the Penguins. All right, Strange Man mentioned Derek Jeter, and of course that's because Jeter had his ceremony the other night. This is the thing I'll say about this. He had 81 games to choose from. Did he have to pick Mother's Day? Of course he says, well, my mom was a huge supporter of me and I wanted to do something special for her. Well, what about all the other mothers who have their own day, Derek? Did you have to force all their family members to say, sorry, Mom, I'm going to Yankee Stadium. There's a doubleheader because of the rain, and we're probably not going to get home until 2 in the morning on Mother's Day because Derek Jeter is celebrating and going into the Ring of Honor and all that stuff, whatever they got out there, Memorial Park, the whole bit. Whatever. You know, it's his day, but to the moms out there, happy Mother's Day. I think, he could have picked a different day. Yankees lost 3 out of 4 and 4 out of 5 as they lost to the Royals, or they lost to the Astros, who are the best team in baseball right now. The Astros are 29-12, and they are in first place out west. And Jenna's trying to give me the time. I know there's less than 5 minutes, Jenna. Are we sure that's that? I've got my timer going. I think we're going to be good. I think we're coming up on about 2.5 minutes left, if I'm right. Can somebody give me the high sign on that? Does that sound right? Yes? 2 minutes, okay. So Houston is the best team in baseball right now. The Yankees are in first place in the East at 24-13. They are 2 up on the Orioles at 23-16 and 4 up on the Red Sox at 21-18. The Red Sox had lost 2 out of 3 at home to the Rays this weekend, and I think the Yankees are playing the Rays on the road this weekend, so they'll see the Rays down in Tampa. But the Red Sox had 2 nice wins in St. Louis, including a come-from-behind down 4-0 late in that game, and they won it 5-4 in 13 innings last night. So the Red Sox, I still not sure what to make of them. David Price is doing his rehab start. He'll pitch tomorrow, and maybe he'll play in the big leagues next week. We'll see what happens as he comes back. Sandoval hopefully will be coming back soon as well. But the Mets, Bob cannot be happy with going on with the Mets after their 9-game losing streak. They had, recovered, winning 7-10, but now they have lost 7 in a row again to fall to what? 16-23. So we're down to about a minute to go. But wow, the Mets really, really struggling. Wasted road trip against the Brewers and the Diamondbacks. They're going to be home against the Angels and the Padres. Padres are 15-27, but the Angels are above 500 at 22-21. I don't know. The Nationals are in first place at 25-15. The Nationals have no bullpen, but they also have no competition because the second place team is the Braves at 16-21. So not good. Mets at third place, 16-23. They really need to get this thing turned around and need to get it turned around fast. We are about out of time, I believe. I did want to mention the French Open is getting started this week. Monday, there will be no Maria Sharapova, even though her ban is over. And there will be no Serena Williams, who is pregnant. And there will be no Roger Federer, who is taking the French Open off. So maybe Rafael Nadal, who has won 3 straight clay court matches to end, maybe he will get back there. All right, we are out of here. I believe they're giving me the say goodbye time. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Happy Memorial Day. Thank you, Jenna. You've done a great job.
Work hard every day.